that's been presented throughout the years have not been consistent, and upon second look, we see is all just BS. If it wasn't, there wouldn't even be a flat earth movement, We don't have a real picture, or the curvature is ridiculous. Okay, well, cool. You do, I don't. I'm still waiting on one on my end. Good, salutes to you guys, but I will tell you this. It's just ridiculous because we're talking about something that's supposed to be factual. Like the word horizon is the root word of horizontal. Now, when a horizontal line starts to curve, it's no longer a horizon. And all I need to know is, when does the ground outside that's flat? I mean, we know it's straight up flat as a pancake. I go to the beach every year. And that's one thing about the earth that is so beautiful to me, the 360-degree flatness of it all the way around, And I would like to know, at what height does that ground start to ball up, And that magic number have not been consistent. We saw huge amounts of curvature at low heights and less amount of curvature at high heights. Like, how can that be consistent? And we see that it's the result of GoPro, CGI trickery, and all of this type of stuff. And it goes back to what I said earlier. I haven't went up there to see the earth turn into a ball, to see the ground beneath me, start to ball up. I haven't been up high enough to observe that. So I would have to say I am believing the theories and observations of others that say they have. And just so happen all of those people happen to be Freemasons. So I don't choose to practice that belief anymore, but that's just my choice. I don't have anybody else.
We don't. I will go ahead and say that CGI is disingenuous, but can you go ahead and, David, go ahead and play that video for everyone? Because what we like to do is we like to let the flat earthers give us the parameters that we have to go for.
Here.
And the flat earthers have always said Nikon P900, Nikon P900, Nikon P900. Well, what you're seeing on your screen right now is what was shot with the flat earther camera of choice. This is not CGI. This is something that you can go out and observe for yourself. What you're seeing is a zoomed-in view with the Nikon P900 from the 6th story of a hotel room right next to Lake Pontchartrain, and that bridge is the Lake Pontchartrain Causeway. This is direct observation of curvature, no CGI. Also, when it comes to the claim that we don't have a real picture of Earth, allow me to draw your attention to a satellite called Himawari. It's not from NASA, it's from JAXA, the Japanese space agency. And it produces a picture that is 11,000 by 11,000 resolution every 10 minutes. And to give you some context on that, Pixar, literally the leaders in their industry when it comes to CGI-ing crap, they can only render one frame of 4K video every 30 minutes. So the processing power is simply impossible to match with what we're getting with JAXA. Also, another thing with JAXA. There is a video out there by a YouTube user by name of Wade's Underworld, and he was actually comparing his local weather to the observations that are being made by that satellite, and they match perfectly. And he did this for a few days, if not a few weeks, made a video comparing the observations to what was shown every 10 minutes on the Himawari satellite, and they matched perfectly. So not only is it at a resolution that would be impossible CGI, not only is it at an accuracy that literally anybody on that side of the planet can actually verify, which they have done multiple times, but it's at a quality that shows our beautiful round Earth in vivid detail. Why is Soundly's observation and the observation from that satellite not convincing to you?
Because it's not my observation, so it's convincing to the person that made the observation. That's quite simple. The things that's convincing to me are the things that convince me to go in the flat earth. So if you would like to know those and deal with those, that'll probably be the more appropriate step to take, because I didn't see Soundly video. I don't know none of these guys you're talking about, never heard of them. And it wouldn't be convincing to me if I don't even know these guys. So, I mean, if you want to know what led me into flat earth.
No. But we go back to what I said previously. You just said, well, it's not necessarily the case that I will reject everything unless I do it myself. I just showed you all these things, and then your primary reason for rejecting all the things I gave you was because you didn't do it yourself. So I go back to my original question.
Hold on a second. That's not my reason for rejecting it. My reason for rejecting it is because, in my opinion, it still doesn't debunk my observations. And if you would like to see my observations now that you've given yours and we put them side by side, you can probably see why I'm making the conclusion that it's not substantial enough, because you haven't saw my stuff yet. I heard your arguments, but it's not convincing to me because you haven't heard mine. I think I got something more powerful than what you said. You know, it's a lot more simple. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, until we see my side, we can't really conclude on nothing quite yet. Ain't that's fair enough?
I would have to disagree that we can't conclude anything based on what we've seen so far. One thing we can conclude is that the assertion that we do not see curvature is false, because curvature is easily observed. I have done it. Sally has done it. Multiple people have done it. Multiple people have made YouTube videos about it. This is not something that is so hard to do. You can actually see direct observation of curvature. So the assertion that the claim that we don't see curvature is categorically false by that.
So exactly how do we see curvature? Like what you're presenting are
by looking at
effects. Hold on. What you're presenting are the effects that would present themselves if curvature were to exist, but we don't see the actual doggone curvature. Like, you ever saw basketball? We see the numbers that would support curvature. We see things converge on the horizon. But if you want to call that curvature, that's you. When I see street lights getting small in the distance, I know they're not going over a curve. I know that I can't see forever, and things get smaller in the distance as they converge on the horizon, just like the boats do when you're calling it curvature. They're not going over a curve. Now, am I able to screen share so I can finally make my argument, please?
Sure. Well, while they're getting that out, let me also say that when you're using, go ahead.
Let me explain to him how we're going to have to do that. It's kind of like we did it with GeoScriber, which Dave, you were still moving that day. What you're going to have to do is join our Discord, and he's going to have to Dave, you're going to have to do like a desktop capture for him to be able to see his screen. You know what I'm saying?
He's got to because we got just. Okay, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No, you good? Go ahead.
No, I was going to say if he want, I can email him a picture right now. And maybe that'll be quicker.
That'll work. Yeah, that'll work.
You can even just put a link in the chat if you want.
Because
in the chat, in the call that you're in right now,
I send a link.
Yeah, there's like a private chat for us, Brother Sanchez, in this call. You see that chat box over to the right of your screen? You can just put it in there.
Let me check.
And
okay, well, no, it's on my personal drive, so I'm gonna just send them an attachment if that's cool with y'all.
Oh, okay, that's fine. Just email it to my email that I sent you the link on, and I'll forward it over to Dave.
Can I go over the streetlight thing now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. The streetlight thing that you are referring to is the law perspective. As objects get further away from you, they will get smaller and smaller and smaller in your vision. Eventually, the available resolution of your eye will be insufficient to see the object again. That's not the result of curvature. That's just the result of objects getting further away from you. Unfortunately, the problem comes in when we don't see the object, or better yet, we only see part of an object, when there is more than enough angular resolution to work with. Case in point, Soundly did another test called a blink test. And I'm going to ask David to go ahead and play that right now, because what you will see with the blink test is very fascinating. You'll actually see a building that has more than enough angular resolution to work with, and yet we have half of it that is completely missing. Now, how do we know that there's half of it? Because we can do a comparison with the thing that we're blink testing against, which is the actual object itself. People are now seeing it right now on their screen, so they can see for themselves even more evidence of curvature. And this follows along the same concept that you were bringing up with the street lights.
All right. Dave, I'm forwarding you Brother Sanchez's.
I'm going to also send you a link to play YouTube as well. That's just a quick link you can go to.
Yeah, put that in the chat. Put that in the chat here in the call, that box off to your right.
Yeah, he thinks that what he just showed proves curvature. Like I said, we never visually see curvature. We see small little pictures like that, and that's really not that's not curvature. That's not curvature. But we'll talk about that now. Let me go ahead and give you this video real quick.
Yeah, denying it does not make it not curvature, just so you know.
Well, no, it's not curvature. I mean, you even said it yourself. You said that when things disappear on a horizon, it's not curvature. And that's basically
No, that's not what I said. That's not what I said.
Okay.
What I said was what we are seeing is not the result of just perspective limiting our line of sight. What we're seeing here is an object with enough angular size to work with where we should see the object in full, and yet we don't, which means something external to law perspective is at play, i.e. curvature.
Okay, so let me explain how this works. All right, I just sent the link in the back chat. You want to play that video real quick? If you want, you can play it in double time. It's already 2 minutes, but we're going to play it fast just so we can show you a little, just a small little demonstration. Anybody?
Give us 1 second. He's loading that up right now. Just give us 1 second.
No problem. And while we load that up, let me just see what we're about to look at is why things on the horizon vanish from the bottom up, okay? Because what Rhetoric just showed you is you lost the bottom part of a building. He said that's because of curvature. I said, nope, it's not because of curvature. It goes back to what I said. It's because of convergence. Your eyes are curved, but not the horizon. So your eyes will bend things. And you still don't know how your eyes work. You think it's curvature you see. So I'm going to show you right now, right, that it's all a mirage. And what you're seeing is that the further away things go, the more of the bottom you lose. So what you're going to see in this video that he's pulling up, if I can finish, what we're going to see in the video that he's, okay, yeah, whenever you pull it up, just hit play and let it roll, because you can play mute with it too. I'm going to talk over it.
Okay.
See, what's happening is this. If me and you was on a huge plane, right? And let's say we was laying down having a picnic, you laying down on the ground, and let's just say I started walking away from you out into the horizon on a huge plane. I will start to vanish from the feet up, just like we see the sun. And if you put a quarter on a table and set up a camera, and you move the quarter down the horizon, in that case, that would be the table. Go ahead and hit play on that, please. Hit play on that. I want it to play while I'm talking so I can make a point, and I'm going to pass the mic.
Playing now.
Yeah, hit play on that.
It's playing
and
now.
Like Rhetoric said, denying something don't make it false. Now, this video is a great explanation of what happens on the horizon, and we can hit play on it real quick.
It is playing.
Oh, man, my bad. Let me check it out. I'm looking. Okay, cool. So, yeah, like I said, things vanish on the horizon from the bottom up, just like we see here, just like with the setting sun, just like the picture Rhetoric showed us, where he showed you lost a little bit of the bottom of the building. That's because you're on a flat plane, and as things go far away from you, you lose more of the bottom of that thing. Like I said, if we was at a big plane and I